let's move on though to the really exciting one. What do we want from Destiny 2? So,
based on
the Kotaku article about
the messy
story
behind what happened with Destiny and the story reboot. It's definitely seems like a well-researched piece. 6 people talked off the record about what happened over at Bungie. You should definitely check it out. And
stripped out stuff.
Out of that, we heard Destiny 2 is coming next year.
Yeah,
probably in September.
Yeah, or at least these sources claim. It's unknown if these sources are still with Bungie or if that roadmap has changed. So definitely want to attach that caveat for you. This doesn't mean Destiny 2 is next year.
That's always been my vote.
Yeah.
So
marketing-wise and everything, next year sounds perfect for Destiny 2. Yeah.
Okay.
But they stripped stuff out of even Taken King, retooled it. Some of these things now they're saying are coming later. But these are, again, all sources.
The biggest bummer to the story for me, just really quick, is that I feel like a lot of details regarding what the story was were included, and if any of that was planned to come within the next few weeks, I just feel like this was the biggest spoiler in the world. I knew this story would eventually hit the internet one day, what happened. I just never expected it this soon.
This soon, yeah.
Still props to Kotaku for pulling that off. You were going to say, Dustin, sorry.
Yeah, so the topic we're going to talk about is what we want from Destiny 2 based on this story about the unfortunate stripping out and repurposing of the story, which is just a mess. Really read the piece. So wipe the slate clean. What do we want from Destiny 2? I think the easy answer is a good story. You have the basis of lore now. So let's say the story's true and they really did mess up everything. So Destiny 2, you have a chance to make it right. You know the lore that works with your community. You know what gets them excited. Really knock it out of the park with your core narrative for Destiny 2.
That's your number one, huh? I still don't get the big story upset. I love stories and games and all, but
they have gameplay.
It is one of the most talked about things with Destiny, and you're right, it kind of has been a disaster. That does not make the gameplay better for me, not by a huge margin.
They have the gameplay. They don't they have the gameplay down. The core gameplay of shooting and getting stuff is pretty good.
Yeah, I just want to interject with we did get a good story in the Taken King, and I think that's just a sign of the future. So let's take good story as a given, right?
That is what Destiny's saying.
I don't think let's say that's out of the picture. What about the game do you really want to see fixed or changed?
My problem with
talk about this game all the time.
Honestly, my problem with this conversation is this is potentially a year away. So you can tell me, we can say what we want in 2, but are you sure you want it in 2 and you don't want it by January? So that's my challenge to you with what your ideas are.
Nice.
I want a better story in 2.
Okay, awesome. So we should really be looking forward to my point, because I have all these things that they need to fix with Taken King, because it's really far away what we're talking about.
Taken King, though, the problems with Taken King are a bunch of little things that high-level players it drives them nuts, like gated quests. Oh, why do I have to wait a week? Yeah. Or why doesn't Xur have 300 light? Why is my light system all weird again? You have the same problems as Vault Year 1, It's all these little things that us as high players recognize. I'm talking clean slate. They're building a new game. How do you make it a better experience start to finish?
Yeah, and
for me, the core is narrative. You already have the gameplay. I mean, that doesn't really need to be adjusted too much.
I totally disagree with that.
I think
totally want all these fixes with the gameplay. That's my point.
But so on the gameplay mechanics side, what do you feel needs to be tweaked?
Because we still just have Strikes, Crucible, and Raid.
Yeah.
Once you're sort of done with the story, that's all you have left. Prison of Elders was a good idea, but you saw it didn't quite work out.
It's an activity that is useless to
And that's why
those
Court of
are
Oryx
activities.
is
I'm talking about core gameplay.
That is core gameplay for me.
Core gameplay, like shooting, how jumping feels, how supers feel.
Gameplay mechanics.
All that stuff feels great. You're talking about staples, like activities.
No, I mean, it's everything. That's the thing. This is a big conversation. That's my point. You need to retool something completely, like add flying from planet to planet in the game. Or,
where you do something.
But my point is, it needs to be really big. But reason I brought Prison of Elders is because I like Court of Oryx and all. It's pretty limited. I would love to see a really big solution to a 3-person or even a 2-person mechanic. Give me something to do without having to constantly search for too many friends. That's missing from the core of this. I don't think we'll solve that this year.
Raid matchmaking, maybe something, or a solution for that.
Back to that
not that argument. A solution for that problem, and it is a problem. It's a problem when your community wants something so bad that they make the tools for you.
Yeah. My only point is. and you guys can feel free to disagree. There isn't enough to do ultimately. They really do need to introduce some big stuff, like you were talking about, even being on your Sparrow. And
there's plenty to do, but I know what you're saying. You're saying you want more variety in activities.
There's plenty to do, but like, you're repeating all the stuff over and over and over again. I love Trials. I love Iron Banner. I'm not saying those things aren't good. And actually, it's ironic that I'll be like, I don't have enough time to do all this stuff. Like, wait for me. Fix the light level system. But at the same time, I kind of just want to hop on for 30 minutes, go in, do something. And like that's where, if I'm doing that today, exactly, I will play a strike that I've already played
and get nothing
it's fun,
for it.
And get nothing for it. And that's where you really need to think about it. I agree that the story, make it an awesome big thing. I didn't want to say don't. But that's where I think we need to put our hats on and continue this conversation, as we continue Fireteam chat.
What about you, Jose?
Oh, man, I've been thinking this entire time you two have been talking. I think social spaces still don't have enough value. I feel that with the Taken King, the Reef completely felt like a place you didn't need to go to. And for good reason. I mean, Trials got suspended, but even and Prison of Elders didn't really get sort of an upgrade with the last update or with the with the Taken King. I feel that they're in this sort of inevitable problem right now where when an update comes out, the prior updates get kind of left behind. And I think that can be standard and a big problem for other games. Maybe it's a problem in World of Warcraft. I'm not sure. But, those spaces should have value, and you still want the variety of those activities to mean something for people at the end game level.
If you come in at Taken King, you have no reason to play Vault or Crota.
Yeah.
No reason to.
Well, you do with No Time to Explain because you're trying to get that gun.
True.
But that's the only reason you have to play it. There's no reason to go back in there. And I get also this is not a counter to like, hey, letting go of year one weapons and, that certain weapons don't make it all the way to the top tier. Like, I'm okay with that. That's fine. But I do feel like social spaces are also just weirdly still isolated.
Yeah.
What do you
like? I go there and I could see you dance and I could see you do these things, but there's still not a ton of interaction. So what if we can kick a purple ball around? Like I almost wonder, could they find some kind of social ways to get people going? There's nothing funnier in my mind, and this is going to sound completely ridiculous, but sometimes I just start these mini raves where I like run up to people, start dancing, and everyone will follow me downstairs.
What if there was a reward besides just the fun of it?
Well, maybe it doesn't have to be a reward, but there has to be more ways to interact on the social level in this game, and I feel like there's not enough of them. And maybe I'm not taking advantage of them. That's the other problem.
No,
but I just feel like there's no incentive to really get to know someone else.
We go back to the tower to decrypt engrams and pick up stuff from the postmaster.
Yeah, and then be like,
largely
peace,
and get bounties, and then you're like out, or you literally stand there while your group is organizing, and that is the where there's problems. Sometimes you just want to do stuff on your own. And
what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to sit down because nobody's here yet, and I have to wait.
Yeah, so you're not like interfacing with other people. We've talked about it in the past, Jose, like drawing more Nintendo references, which I love to do, obviously, but like the whole Zelda, mini game system. Like, what if you could just do stuff like together? It could be a lot of fun.
This might be a poor example, but like Metal Gear is an open world game. But whenever you're visiting Mother Base, there are these trials sections that you could just kick off and like start shooting at these targets, and you get GMP, which is a resource in that game. I think you get GMP. Or you're trying to bring your time down. There's like leaderboards for that stuff.
You hear that, Bungie? We're asking for another stream of revenue.
No. There's way too much currency. Too many currency changes. This is the weirdest government of all time. But I do think that more activities just that on a social level at least could give you, in a social space can give you something. I think it is worth it. Right now the social experience and the social hubs are very isolated from all that.
Yeah, I'd love to run around and like test weapons like we've talked about before. And
like a test facility? That'd be fun.
That'd be fun. Okay. Anyway, I know
we're a little over on time. I do want to say one more thing about what I want from year 2. I want exotics to be exciting again when you get them. I think the year 1 system, you were super excited when you finally got your Gjallarhorn.
Well, that's because there weren't that many places to get them. Hang on a minute.
I'm not saying reintroduce that mechanic. I'm saying in year 2, I have not been excited about getting any exotic. It's just kind of like
Black Spindle.
Black Spindle was good. That was a really good example of how to get it. That was fun to do and get, and it will be very memorable. I want more experiences like that because right now there's like one, and I remember getting Gjallarhorn, I remember getting Hawkmoon.
So I think we should revisit this topic. I don't think we're done at the slightest. So I asked permission to revisit this next week.
Let's head it up again.
And that was my earlier point, though. Like we haven't even talked about what we want to see from the DLC between because it's not announced, and so we're kind of skipping a step. Like,
they're using microtransactions to support that, so it's going to be free.